Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, we are deleting my city. Again. Just kidding. Kind of. We're not deleting it as much as we are rebuilding, replacing and reinvigorating it. But more on that later. The question that I can hear everybody asking is, what did you build last month? And the answer to that is not much. We made a tutorial of the AI school that actually took almost an entire week to put together. We made a TGI Fridays, which was honestly a refreshing build to make. Then we made Wayne Enterprises, a giant stone skyscraper that takes multiple hours to make. Then we made a nice, refreshing pale oak suburban house, including a pretty nice interior. We also made a clothes store, and then a rather complicated Lego set. This is the Corner Cafe modular building, which wasn't particularly easy to make, if I had to tell you guys the truth. And finally, we made Steve's lava chicken stand. This was easy to make and a lot of fun. It might have been my favourite build of the entire month. But you guys know that we don't make these builds for no reason. We then added all of them into the city. And I hear you guys again. Where did those builds go in that city of yours? Let me show you. The school and the Lego cafe are in storage, as they are both rather huge and they just can't simply be plopped into the city. Wayne Enterprises has been plopped into the business district, which is gaining more and more builds by the month. It's a part of the city that I'm very eager to renovate. Our suburban house got added onto the end of one of our pre-existing cul-de-sacs. And lastly, TGI Fridays, the clothes store, and Steve's lava chicken stand got added into the new suburban suburbs. Whilst we have a lower quantity of builds this month, trust me when I tell you that at the very least 3 of those builds took an extortionate amount of time to make. In design, tutorial, and editing. I think that we're going to chill out a little bit next month, maybe some smaller builds. Right, let's go back to the beginning. I am deleting my city. Last month, we deleted, replaced, and revamped this outer area of the city. We turned this into this. Not too shabby. This month, I would at the very least like to take this set of builds that I have right here, and maybe some more that I think of as we progress along, and I would like to do something similar with this area of the city. It has a bit of an identity crisis, and I'd love to help it out. First of all, we have some cleaning to do. We can completely remove the amphibia house, we used that in the previous video. However, the modern suburban houses and the Halloween house are getting moved off to the side so that we have a nice blank canvas to work with. This is the area that we are renovating today. I wanted to start off by making a hedge on the opposite side of our farm road, just to further separate the work areas. One of the builds that we are using today is my solar farm. It just makes sense that it would be built in a more rural area like this one. However, after placing it, I immediately realized that it looked wrong. So I thought that it might be a good idea to place a little bit of farmland to try and help frame this area a little bit better. This was helpful. After doing that, it helped me realize that the solar farm should just be placed a little bit offset from everything else, behind where the farmland is going to be. I also wanted to have another pylon in this area too. Like I said in the previous video, we should see more of these things around the city. At the very least, on the outskirts. You know what? The solar farm looks lonely. Why don't we double up? And this area is looking pretty good for now, so I think that it's a great idea to figure out where the farm is going to go. I made a mini farm a really long time ago, and it's currently in this part of the city, which is a little bit weird for this build, to be honest. So we are completely moving it out into the country. And I think right here will do nicely. But not only that, another build that is kind of inappropriately placed is my campsite, as it is right next to my mini farm. It seems weird to have a bit of forest right in the middle of where the downtown part of the city is meant to be, so we are also moving the campsite very much near the farmland. They already know each other, so it's not going to be weird. Yeah, this is actually looking pretty good. This isn't a bad layout at all. We just have to clean things up a little bit. The campsite is looking far too condensed. We can definitely spread it out a little bit. We didn't have very much room in the city centre, but out here we've got a lot more options. I don't really want to alter it too much, I just want to separate the builds so that we can appreciate them a little bit better. The only thing that I might do though is just add another tent or two, just so that it looks a little bit less lonely.
Nobody wants to sit in front of a campfire by themselves. That'd be crazy.
But yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. So let's extend the forest around our campsite. We do want to keep all of these builds separate, by the way. Whilst they are placed near each other, we don't want the campsite to blend into the farm/farmland. We want it to have its own identity. Now that we've established the campsite, we can refine the farm area a little bit. We definitely need to have some more fields, and we also need to establish a boundary around today's workspace. How far out do we want to build? Well, that's what that giant hedge on the right side of the screen is for. I also think that it'd be a good idea to have a pathway that leads us alongside the farmers' fields for ramblers or maybe even small vehicles. I also think that it would be nice to turn this empty space that we have at the front of the farm into an already worked field with just a bunch of hay bales here. I should probably remember to add a tractor trailer here later as well. We actually have a little mini tractor on the farm already, so maybe we'll just move that out a little bit later on. Something that I realised as well is that we definitely need to clean up all of these pathways and fences around all of this farmland. It was just looking far too messy for me. And at this point, the farm is not looking too bad. It might need a little bit more work later on, but I'd say that it's most of the way there. So we'll just establish a little bit of a boundary around our little farmstead, which leads us onto the next part. With all of this dense forest in this area, it seems to me that we have a pretty good space to stick our haunted house. This wasn't part of the original plan, but I think they could be good here. It's at this point that I realised that placing trees and pathways and making mountains and hills was insanely tedious, so I did a little bit of research. I discovered a mod called Axiom, which allowed me to place that really dense spruce forest really quickly. This was my first time ever using the mod, and I've got to say, I think that it's going to be insanely helpful in building and renovating the rest of the city, but I have so much to learn. It's very complicated, or at least for me. I mean, just look at all of these options. However, this area is looking really nice. We have separated all of our builds nicely. However, I'm not sure how we will kind of vaguely connect them together. Maybe a road all the way in front of our forest, because we still have to get to our campsite somehow from our bridge. I did also briefly consider adding a roundabout as well, because I kind of wanted to incorporate some more builds like that around the city, but it was a little bit too big, so maybe either a smaller one, or I'll just keep it as like a T-junction, like this. Anyway, I think that this area of the city looks pretty good for now, especially with the addition of these new hills. So I thought that it might be a really good idea to refine the solar farm a little bit. We don't just want a big blocky farm randomly placed on the back of our fields. I thought that it'd be better to shape it, which I struggled to do. I'm still very much a novice with Axiom, so these hills are looking a little bit weird and maybe a bit too small, but I'm sure that I'll figure it out eventually. In my usual ADD style of building, I do bounce around a lot, so you may also see me adding some telephone poles along our farm road. Because once again, something that I want to keep reminding myself is that we would see a lot of these things. Kind of just ambient in the city, stuff that you don't even realize you see, they kind of just fade into the background, but they make so much difference. Placing the telephone poles was quite helpful because it helped me realize the shape that I wanted to make the solar farm. Not bad. And then, ladies and gentlemen, I had an epiphany. The motorway. I remembered that I have an entire motorway in my city that goes nowhere. Well, this is the video that changes. We are placing the motorway behind our farmland, which will lay the foundation for our motorway to extend and connect around the entire city. Eventually, not right now, don't go too crazy. However, this did leave a lot of dead space between the road and the previous set of farmland, so I've added just a bunch of fresh solar panels and some terrain around it, which looks pretty good, but I am very open to exchanging some of these panels for something else later. Maybe a small farm shop or something else that we might make in the future. If you have a suggestion, leave one down below. I've made a few little finishing touches off camera, but I think that I'm finally at the point where we have successfully renovated this area. Let's take a closer look. Our journey begins on the definitely not inspired by the Golden Gate Bridge. As we get to the end of the bridge, we have two choices. On the right, the fantasy-based industrial district, and on the left, everything that we have been building in this episode. So up here, this leads us to the farm. But before that, we have a campsite to explore. At the end of this road, we have a barrier which kind of forces us down this pathway. If we wander down to the end of our path, we enter our campsite, which is just nice and chill. We have a lovely arrangement of tents, an RV, a car towing a caravan, a picnic table, and so much more. Bear in mind, I have not placed all of the necessary details, including item frames and banners and any other blocks that may potentially be destroyed when using World Edit. When we are 100% certain that something is never going to move, then we will add all of the details. But until then, we can double back on ourselves and head out of the campsite, and we can wander down this dark and spooky path, which would be a lot creepier if this was dark. What a coincidence! At the end of our beaten path, we have found a haunted house, which is very creepy in the dark. I don't want to add time onto the video fully exploring every single build, but I will leave links down below to each main build used in this video if you would like to take a better look at them and maybe even follow the tutorial. It's up to you. Honestly, this place is a little bit too creepy for my liking, so let's head back out onto our path and let's head all the way back to the very start of our road. This dirt path is the way that one is meant to approach the farm on foot, or at least from this side of the city. You may also want to bring a machete. After what seems like a half marathon, we will eventually find a break in the hedge, and we can now enter our farm. Whilst the majority of the farm is just fields, we do also have what I would call a little homestead as well. Luckily, I did remember to add the tractor and trailer to our hay bale field, However, the actual little mini farm itself is just missing a bunch of animals, which, as mentioned, I don't want to add until we are 100% certain that this build isn't moving, but otherwise it would be much more life-filled than this. From here, there is really only one way to get to the solar farm. We walk all the way down the farm's driveway, and we have kind of this backcountry road here, which, as you can see, takes us to our larger farm if we loop around there, or if we float our way on down this road, we are greeted by just a massive amount of solar panels. And all the way down at the end of this road, we eventually reach our solar farm / solar factory. Now, for the last part of this, if we exit our solar farm and we come down this is so dauntingly long, this is such a massive road. Eventually, if we follow the road all the way to the very end, we reach a junction. To the left, we don't really have anything for now, but all the way over here on the right, this is the entrance onto the motorway. This takes us up to a roundabout where we can join the motorway heading this direction, which currently goes nowhere, or we can head across the roundabout and join the motorway heading this direction, which currently also kind of goes nowhere, but at least the road is a lot longer. And that's all I have to show you. That is everything that we have made in today's episode. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this tutorial, please remember to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Also, consider becoming a channel member. You will gain access to loyalty badges, some fun emojis, and a monthly download for every single build used in our city. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.